beautiful pile of wood chips. What are you doing today, Maureen? And now it's gone. Welcome to the final tour of 2024. I've been working on this for basically about a month. Started, I think it was like the 5th of October, attempting to get the yard put to bed. So I have been filming bits and pieces of it as I've been going along so that I could show you basically what we had done. So with this final tour, I want to talk about what were the successes, probably more aptly the failures, and the changes that I am making for this coming year. Last year, I didn't quite get the yard put to bed as I got pretty sick at the end of the season with my fibromyalgia. It was very difficult to get things put to bed. We kind of stuck to just the crucial, important things like making sure that the coop was secure and a few things just to make sure that we weren't going to end up with some water damage. I didn't do things like refilling the beds with compost or covering them with straw, or even replacing the wood chips in the yard. And that was partially because I couldn't find anybody that would come and bring me wood chips. And even if they would have sat, because it would have been really difficult for me to get all of the wood chips done. And with the straw bales, well, they were all like, $22 a piece. Mama wasn't gonna pay that kind of money for straw. We'll start here in the front yard garden and show you what has been done and the plans that are coming along in the future. Being on the island, there are things that are still growing. So this plant here, which was supposed to be pumpkin, but came out as zucchini pumpkin. The plant sometimes will grow zucchini-shaped fruit, and then sometimes it's more, not quite pumpkin-esque, but it's more of a tear-shaped. But it's still growing, and there is still some fruit on it. The other zucchini plants that are still in the grow bags, these two still, there's zucchini here on this one, and then on the far one, there still is zucchini that we're picking. So it's kind of cool. So in regards to the wood chips that are all over the yard now, I can say that I didn't move any of them. My dear friends who are sisters, they came and moved and put it all in the mid yard, and I'll show you that in a bit. And then on the app next door, I ended up finding a gentleman who was willing to come and move soil and wood chips for me. And basically, he's a little on the pricey side, but one of the things that he said is that he works fast, and boy did he ever. So one of the things that he did is the last of the compost soil that was in the playground and the compost bin in the very back, he was going from the farthest end of my property, and of course you can't bring it through this way. He was bringing it all the way around down the driveway, and then he put it into my potato bed. So that is all stacked up nice along with straw. Oh, you noticed that I have straw. Facebook Marketplace. Someone was selling their straw bales for $6 and $7 depending on whether you got straw or hay. So I contacted them and asked them to put 20 aside for me. So these straw bales were $7. But here's the kicker. They are actually a distributor for many of the other companies in town. And one of the companies canceled their order, which is why they ended up having about 500 straw bales. So when we met and I picked up the straw bales, told him, they're just too expensive, which then he explained that one that they distribute to and they canceled. So he also said, in the future, you just contact me to get your straw bales, which is fantastic. So my hardworking worker came and put in 6 to 7 huge wheelbarrow full of soil, and then I covered it with the straw. So this is all ready to go to be planted in. I will continue to use the Ruth Stout method of planting potatoes, so they won't be going into the soil, but I've got all this delicious, nutritious soil that's under the straw bales, and I will be building this up more. In this coming year, in the past, I've always done our cantaloupe and honeydew along here. We actually don't eat honeydew or cantaloupe, so I am actually going to try growing the loofahs over this rack, and I'll put them on both sides so that we get more. Loofahs really need the heat, and so the sun comes up here, so these will be bathed in heat all day long. 2 years ago, I planted about 700 cloves of garlic in this bed. And last year, of course, we planted like 860 out at the farm away from my home. And of course, the flooding destroyed all the garlic. So I'm going to be bringing back the garlic here. The soil that we've added to here is semi-composted, and it came from my front compost bin that has been sitting for the last couple of years, but it was mostly wood chips. So Marissa was the one that moved all the soil into here. I've covered it with the coffee sacks just temporarily because I am going to be putting the garlic in. And then with the straw bales that are around, I'm going to be covering them up with straw bales to protect them and to help keep the moisture in over the winter and into the spring. It saves on my water bill. So this was the first year that we opened the farm stand, and it did very, very well. We used the honor system and e-transfer, and some people did. They would e-transfer and say, hey, I bought some stuff, or they would say, I love your squashes. So that was kind of fun. We did have a tent. I borrowed a tent to put over top of it, which worked great. But then when the rains came, the weight of it was too much. So either late fall or more than likely early spring, I'm going to build an actual wooden structure over top of it so that we can keep it protected. The mid-nut yard looking gorgeous as usual. Not too much to report, but that whole mound, I had one of my dear friends, she dug the trench, and also they gave me that barrier to stop the wood chips from falling into the lawn. And then the other one brought all the wood chips. Thank you, ladies. So this is where I have this compost bin at the top of my driveway. And so it was a double one, and we just were storing wood chips, but Marissa came and dug it all out and put it all onto that garlic bed. Going forward, I think we're going to remove it because the plan for this bed was to take whatever foliage that we were chopping down here and put it into this bin. But there just wasn't enough mixture for it to compost down. This is a good section of my driveway that I'm missing. You know, I can't even pull my truck up that far. So we're probably going to take it down and not use it. That's yet to be seen. That could be a spring thing. Let's go see all the work in the backyard. Here is an overall look with all the wood chips distributed around. Like I said, he worked very, very fast, and it was a total of, I think, 3.5 hours over 2 days. The first day he got all the soil moved from the playground and into the potato bed, and he got a whole bunch of wood chips moved into the playground area, and that was an hour and a half. And it was like, yeah, he works fast. He was worth every penny. Let's go in the playground where the magic happens. I've been working hard to try to tidy up all this area and have it a bit more organized. This is a project that is in the process of getting finished. We have a leak in the coop, and it is crucial that we get that fixed before all the rains come. But one crucial one was getting the soil out of this playground and getting the wood chips put in. And wood chips we have, which is just awesome. We've taken it right down to where it's supposed to be. That piece of wood is the original ground, and so we have dug a lot of soil out of here. I moved close to 20 wagon loads full of soil out of the chicken run and into the back garden beds. We emptied out this compost bin, and as you can see, it's already half full. And then when my worker came, he finished it out by emptying this one, and this one has begun the start. He even moved all the wood chips down. And this is important because this was just mud. It doesn't take long for this to all compost down. I'll probably be bringing in more wood chips into the spring. Another crucial thing is this tarp. And so my son just came and put the tarp up because it gives this area here a dry place for the chickens to perch up on the compost bin and stay out of the rain. Because our coop run is very, very small, and to have the amount of birds that I have, you know, sharing these two nesting bars, it just doesn't go well. I also restrung up the electrical lights, and they are on an automatic timer, so they come on and off because it does get darker sooner, and also it's dark in the morning. Now, are things done to where I want them to be done? No, but it's a step in the right direction. And the main thing was, let's get the critical things done, like the tarp and fixing the coop, anything that will become a trial when it starts to get colder and when we have the rains. But my yard is in a much better stance than it ever has been, because I'm actually putting things where they need to be so I don't go out and buy them again. So this is great. So it was putting the yard to bed and then also organizing. I'll start with this small bed, which I did have some onions. It always grows my thyme. I usually throw a tomato into it, but I've expanded it out, put a barrier and some bricks along it, and expanded it a lot more. I'm gonna put herbs into ground. In this place, the pear tree comes over, but we do clip it. So it doesn't get a whole lot of sun, but I think about my different herbs that are in pots, and they're not getting a whole lot of sun over on that side either. They get the morning sun and a little bit of afternoon. And so I would like to put things like cilantro in here because I would like to grow more cilantro. And so having it established in a bed, I think will help it to produce better. Garden bed 2 has been filled up, and straw and of course coffee sacks to keep the straw down, and also to keep the girls out because they think the straw is for them and that they should dig through it. The cucumbers did well. Have a beautiful set of irises. They're very, very tall irises that are in the back. I did chop them down this year, and I tried to tighten the trellis here. We will continue to grow our cucumbers on there just because it's a great hot spot. If we go over here to garden bed 3, stopping along the way, look at the kiwis. We haven't had our frost yet. You're supposed to pick them after frost. So this one feels a little soft, as does this one. I think I'm gonna pick it and give it a bite. Tastes good, but woohoo, super sour. Here, do you want this? Do you want to try it? It's not soft enough yet. But I saw you eating one the other day. Well, here comes your friend. She really, really wants it. Oh, yeah. It's not that good, but man, oh man, if they're eating it, I want it too. All right, there we go. Garden bed 3. This one again, there's a lot of shade that goes on here, so I think I'm going to be looking at doing bok choy and trying to get some brassicas to grow in here. But again, filled up, straw and coffee sack. My turkey fig, it didn't get the memo that it's supposed to ripen in the summertime and not now. This turkey fig has never gotten it right. Sometimes it would fruit out in the dead of winter. This year I thought it was going to do it right, but didn't get it. Under the pear tree, this is all kind of shade-loving plants that are under here, but having this beautiful thick layer of wood mulch is just going to feed the soil, protect it, keep that moisture in, and all those plants, they'll pop up in the spring. Walking over to our garden bed number 1. My beans, like what you see there on the arch, that's pretty much how it looked the whole time. Didn't do very well, but I'm gonna try them again. I've left the broccoli up. These are things that the girls can come and pick on. If it does continue to give me fruit, that's great, but it's wonderful for them to have some fresh greens. I still have a sweetie cherry tomato. I just thought, let it go until it can't go anymore. And then our 3-tiered garden bed. I've begun the taking down of the tomato plants. So a few in these pots here, those ones have been done. These ones are next. And then I am gonna go back and start taking down the roller hooks and the ones in the back. In this garden bed that I call garden bed number 1, I had a whole bunch of celery all planted along here, and it's just kindly moved itself. So there's some here, and then there's some over here, and then there was just a whole bunch along the back where you see all that soil. So I removed it all and planted it along the wall of my 3-tiered garden here. So I just put all the new soil in. There's carrots right here, and I put it all against the wall. Celery can be a perennial or a biannual. This is celery that I planted from seed a couple of years ago, and we got a bit last year, but this year it just spread itself all over that garden bed. But where I had planted it, it wasn't in the best place. It was just kind of in the way. And because it's going to be a perennial, I thought coming against the wall here, the north is that way. So it's going to be protected from the north winds. And then as well, I do get a bit of sun. So then through the winter, it will still get some sunshine. And moving it here is going to give it a much better chance to continue to produce and for us to be able to eat it through the winter. So I can still plant my tomatoes and basils and things like that in here. So it's just going to be a win-win all around. In here I do have some cabbages, some broccoli, and some cauliflower. But I put these bins over top so that the girls won't eat them because they're just young plants. Celery's looking great, but we could have a little peek at this one here just because it's a little clear. See, the plants are looking just great. I should put some straw in there, but they're looking good, protected. I have a chicken who, when I'm bent over, likes to be up on my back or my head. You know, just depends on, you know, what position I'm in. If I'm sitting down, she likes to come and jump on my knee. Yeah, come on up. Well, hello. Hello, the chicken. Do you think you're a parrot and that you should sit on my shoulder? Huh? I love that we kept these birds. When they were babies, I handled them a whole lot more. So then they have this sense of feeling fine. If I touch them, they're okay with it. Oh, maybe you're not today. But I do like that they will come and sit up on my shoulder. We'll head into the greenhouse studio. Now don't judge me. This is a work in progress. When the rains come, I will finish in here. We've got the lemon trees that I started from seed. Those are those tall ones. These two are lemon and the calamandan orange, I believe. The beautiful cardamom. And then all my pepper plants have come in to join me in here. So it looks like I need to do another harvest. And of course the avocado. I am back to teaching, so then, you know, I've kind of got my teaching corner over here, and then the rest of it is all going to be for all my gardening things. So I do have to kind of do some reorganizing and just even to organize the new seeds that I've purchased for this year. But I brought a lot of the planter pots in here, all cleaned and ready to go, and other things that were outside. I just wanted to have things more organized because it was like, oh, you got planter pots over there, you got planter pots over here, and oh, you got, you know, that particular tool over this, you know. And so I just want to have clarity of where everything is, so I don't have to go out and buy it again. All the planter pots that I use, they're all piled up here. They will get some rain on them, but this tree will probably keep them somewhat protected. And I don't dump out any of the soil. That soil is very good soil. And all I'll do is I'll add amendments. There's no point in throwing it out and starting again. It just doesn't make sense. I know it doesn't look great to you, but I am super happy with this area here. A few things do have to go out because I've downsized to 3 bins. I think I used to have 4 or 5. And all of this wood are all offcuts. This is one of those things where you go, I'm always going out and buying wood, but you know, if you just need a small bit, I don't know where it is. It's not all organized. And now it is. So when I just need a specific piece to add to something, it's all right there. You know, organizing my poles and these little hoops. All of my bamboo stakes and anything to stake go here. Here is wood for the projects. Down at the far end, I've got plywood up against the wall because that stuff is expensive, and where I had it was on the side of my house where it wasn't getting protected. At least when it's back here, it's got the eaves over top of it and it's keeping it all dry. My patio herb garden, again, I'll do the lettuces in here as usual, but where I want to take some of these herbs and plant them over into that other garden bed so that they're permanently there. The patio hasn't been swept yet. The Furno oven was here. I will take care of that. Again, it's not super critical, but I've moved the Furno oven here because I'm having to go from the door across, and when it's pouring rain, the bread's getting wet. So we've moved it here so that it's right outside the door. These are, gorgeous planter pots for bigger trees. I've put them up. They used to all be under here, and now I've turned this into my wood storage. So there's 2 pallets, and on this side, and this is my kindling bin. This one was out. It needs to dry more, but I'm going to keep them under the tarp so that they stay dry. So the great thing is that it's basically, 5 feet, and that way when I'm doing my sourdough Saturdays, I won't have soaking wet bread. We'll now go and have a look at my farm away from home. I think it's been 2 weeks since I've been there, so it'll be an exciting adventure for all of us. Let's call the ladies in. Chickens! Chickens! Oh, you went the wrong way! Chickens! There you go. So they'll all stay wherever the treat bin is. But here's an interesting thing. If I stick my arm out, they will start to walk forward. I do not know why. If it's up forward, then we will all walk forward. And then we quickly do a head count, and we see Mrs. Higgins is missing. Yep, Mrs. Higgins, come on. Come on. Come on, chicken. Come on. She was sick a while ago, and they're still not really accepting or happy with her. So she tends to stay out and avoid them all. So I just give her a few little treats while they're distracted so that she doesn't have to think that they're going to come and get mad at her. There you go. We didn't get around to pruning the pear tree or the dogwood, but it's got some beautiful sticks on it. And so I'm wanting this winter to learn how to make baskets. So when we go to prune this, I'm going to be taking all those whips in and attempting to learn how to make a basket, because I would like a big basket for when I'm bringing in produce. I want to talk about some of the changes that I'm going to be doing in this next year. So I know I talked about the garlic, and no, the garlic is not in, but hopefully tomorrow. But I'm going to be buying store-bought garlic, which is just the Chinese garlic. And what I find is that it actually sprouts within a week. So when I was planting it in October, it was coming up super fast. And then I basically have to harvest it by June. So I will be picking that up and getting that in. And so the change, of course, is not planting garlic out here at the farm, but planting it back at the house so that we can have our garlic to use and also to sell. I also talked about making the farm stand, because I would like to be able to sell more than just the fresh vegetables, because it would be great if we could also be selling jams and jellies and pickles and things like that. So that's another change. In the front yard, I have those grow bags, and I was noticing this past year that the grow bags were starting to, if I went to pull on them, they would tear. So it's time to get new beds in. So sometime, in the summertime, Brampton Gardener, she posted this new galvanized raised bed that she bought, and she got it for a song and a dance basically. But we didn't have any here on the island. And so I did call the company today, and they will be bringing them in May. They're quite large, and then the price pointing is just fantastic. So I put it in my phone to remind myself in May to go out there and pick some up. The sweet potatoes. This year, I don't know, it might have been the width of my finger. I got one. I really struggle with getting slips. So I want to work this year to learn how to grow those slips so that I can get them out into the garden. And I think this year I'm going to try them in the straw bales again. The first time I tried them in the straw bales, I had them upright like this, and it didn't do so well. I needed to have the straw bale flat so that it would have a better growing medium. because I would really like to grow my own sweet potatoes. They started putting a chain up, so I have to get out and move the chain. The other thing that I want to do through the fall and winter, because this is a less growing time, is to use the app that I purchased called Seed Time. It is a really great app where you can plug in the dimensions of your garden and it will tell you when you need to plant things for your grow zone. So it's really laid out well. And so I want to spend the time learning the software and then plugging in all the dimensions of my garden beds so that it is something that can help me know what I can plant, when I can plant, and how many. And now that I'm a partner with YouTube and I will start making some money, I'll be able to save up some money when I need to do big purchases like those beds. So that's kind of a great goal, because at the beginning when you first start making money, it's not a whole lot that you're making, but it does give me time to save up so that in May, when those galvanized beds get delivered into Canada, I'll be able to purchase them. And so I want to do things like that where I'm being more intentional and more methodical about things that I need to do on the farm and in the garden, and things that I need to purchase to make growing easier and better. Well, we are here, so let's go and look at that garden. One thing that you have to see and hear is the creek, which of course is why the flooding is happening. Look at that. It just sounds so beautiful. It's completely dry in the summertime. I would love to live right next door to something that was like this and to hear this every single day. Just so beautiful. So that's the stream that, of course, is watering all the gardens and keeping the water table high. And of course, it's also watering all the blueberries. Oh, there's a lot of water. I'm walking on grass, but it's pretty sloppy. One thing I do find when I come down here, it's just so calm and peaceful and quiet. I just wish that you could experience just what this feels like when I come down here. It's just beautiful. So here is that gorgeous garden bed. And it is basically underwater. The garlic that I had planted late, we did come and check on it, but we decided to leave the garlic, and any cloves that survive, they'll come up next year. We pulled down the corn, and it looks like, all the plants are basically done. The last time we were here, that zucchini, I think I pulled another 4 zucchinis off of it. It is very, very, very sloggy out here. You can see where we dug those trenches, they're filled with water. And so I can guarantee you, if I tried to step on any of that soil, I'll just sink right down. Oh, aw, the bird's eye chilies, they did come out. But they're not ripe yet. Aw, poor chilies. But, everything just was fantastic here. So right here, here is a massive, massive puddle. So I'm going to need to be careful because I do not know how deep it goes. Woo! Oh, there. Not too bad. I made it. So the potatoes were here. This was the garlic. The onions were in that first row at the top, corn here. With this part of the bed, we never dug the trenches, we left it square. I'm still uncertain if I'm going to do that for next year, or if we will continue to make, kind of segments throughout it. So this garden bed had been fallow for 3 years, so it had a beautiful buildup of nutrition and microbes. So that, I think, is what contributed for this year for it to do so well for me. With the years following, I'm always going to be needing to be adding amendments and things like that to it just to continue to strengthen the soil. Now, we grew zucchini, plentiful, spaghetti squash, plentiful, patty pans, plentiful. The carnival squash, it was okay. There was a decent amount. The kabocha squash and the sugar pie pumpkins, I think I only had one plant. So, I want to grow all of those things as well as adding melons because this is such an open area and it gets so much sun. And then because the water table is so high here, we barely needed to water, which is another great thing. Another change that we'll be making is that we put, pollinators kind of on the ends of the beds. And with some of them, they got so big, they were just taking over. Our plan for this next year will be sticking to, far corners and to the edges to add any of the flowering pollinators for in here. So you're probably going, so that's a lot of water, Maureen. What are you planning to do next year? At this point, I do have some coffee sacks, but I've picked up a whole bunch more coffee sacks, which I wanted to use as a weed barrier to protect the soil. So there is lots of the beds that are going to be needing them. Plus, when we go to plant, we'll be able just to fold back the coffee sack to actually keep those weeds down because the weeds were also very plentiful in here. But I think what I'm going to do is wait till the ground freezes and then we'll come in and start covering. But in the meantime, I do have to get, many of these weeds and things like that out of here. And my boots are not tall enough to be able to go through the swamp. So I will be having to look for tall boots that will fit my big calves. Overall, this was such a blessing, this piece of farmland. It was a really great thing to see what it's like to, grow one thing in a row. And so I'm looking forward to this. But I have to, again, strategically plan it out. Here on the island, I can be planting cold weather crops in March. Well, here we can't. We will have to wait till kind of May, depending on how the rains go throughout the winter and into the early spring. So again, it will be making sure that I've got my plants good and established so that once we do bring them down here, they're ready to roll. And even if they are of big size, that's okay, because it's like the growing season, they'll be able to produce a whole lot more. Now, I have no idea if these peppers are gonna have any flavor to them, but like that is super deep. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pull the actual plant right out. I was trying to think if there was a way that I could, nope, that didn't work. I thought if there was a way I could pick them. There we go. I'm not sure. I'll see what flavors these are, and they still might be usable. Just cut the roots off, and we'll put them in, and then I can deal with it when I'm at home. I'm just going to show you the puddle that I walked through when I came in, just in case if I happen to fall, you'll know why. If you watched any of my videos this spring and summer, I think most of them always said, I'm behind, I'm late, I'm behind, because I was. Oh, the pepper smells so good. Okay, I'm through. No casualties, but now we have to close the gate. Don't lose your stuff. Yes, I was always seeming to be behind. And some of that was, just poor timing. Some of it was too cold to put things out. But I still had an okay year with what I grew. Some things no, but much of it pretty darn good. But my little come to Captain Obvious moment was that I need to pay attention to the weather. So I wasn't late for a lot of those things because our weather was so poor. And so going forward, I want to start paying attention to not just, is it raining or not, but what are our overnight temperatures going to be like? And if the overnight temperatures are not coming up, don't put your stuff out, Maureen. The rain is not the biggest the biggest issue. The rain is the issue for me more so. Keep the plants alive in my greenhouse studio, and if it means up-potting them, then up-pot them so that they're big and robust for when we have good warm daytime temperatures and good overnight temperatures. That was a real problem. During the day it was nice and warm and the plants would be like, yes, let's grow. And then the nighttime they'd be like, oh, are we supposed to be going dormant? So that impedes things, you know. So that was I think that's probably my biggest takeaway this year. But you probably all knew that already. Once it does get frosty, then, you know, that will be when we come out to get those coffee sacks out. You know, there's nothing I can put in those trenches. I don't really feel like there's anything to do to divert the water, just because it's in under the ground and part of the water table. The whole area is flooded, as you can see. And my little crazy chicken here, he keeps getting in the way. Hey chicken, you have to go up or something. He's so wound up there, I don't know if I can get him off. I could. I have a few items on my Amazon wish list, and one of my friends went and purchased this solar powered watering system. So that's a new thing as well that I'm going to be adding to my things of change for next year. On a personal note, I tend to be a huge procrastinator, and I end up doing just, you know, the bare minimum and flying by the seat of my pants. And I want to make 2025 more of an intentional year where I'm taking the time to seriously map out how do I want to grow, because this is income for me. This does feed my family and my friends. And so I need to treat it more like it is a job and not just a hobby. So I feel like through the winter, I want to really take that time to get all my ducks in a row and get things cleaned and organized again, so that I know what I have and what I don't have, and to intentionally map out how I want to plant the garden using the seed time, and be more intentional about my health and my finances and things like that. So it's a big undertaking, and I might just take off little bites, and I'm going to give myself a break, that if I don't, you know, do all of these things that I'm speaking about, I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'm going to be kind and gentle with myself, because change is a big thing when, you know, I've been doing the same thing the same way for as long as I have. I'd love to know in the comments, you know, what are some things that you might want to be changing this coming year? Or maybe you're a person who's never grown anything before, and you know, you go, you know what, Maureen, I'm gonna grow myself a pot of lettuce, or I'm gonna plant a pot of tomatoes. I'm gonna grow something like that, or just even some fruit or something. Because when you grow something fresh, it tastes totally different than what's coming out of the stores. You know what fruit was fed, you know how it was tended to. There's just way more nutrition and health in your plants. If you are planning to go, I'm gonna make a change and I'm gonna plant something, you know, put it down in the comments, because I would love to support you and cheer you on as you're going through, you know, this new exciting adventure. And that's it. That's all of it. We covered a lot of things. And one of the things I do love about making these videos is that I get to go look back on it and see some of the things that I talked about, and also to remind myself of, you know, what am I not going to do and what I am going to do. So this is always a really good journal for me. I hope that you enjoyed this big adventure of closing out this growing year, even though there is a few things still growing. Anyway, I hope you're having a great day wherever you are, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Take care and God bless. Since I'm out and about in the car, I'm gonna go pick up that garlic so I can plant it tomorrow.